Well, after the disastrous reception of Batman and Robin, and don't worry, that movie's time will come, interest in a new take on Batman was practically non-existent. There were attempts to make another sequel titled Batman Unchained, which would have supposedly starred Nicolas Cage as the Scarecrow. There's an image. I still want to see it though.
You will never learn.
As well as an adaptation of Batman Year One, not to be confused with this shit, directed by the Wachowskis. But neither project got off the ground. Darren Aronofsky was then offered the chance to direct, with Frank Miller penning the screenplay, but this was rejected on account of the script changing many fundamental aspects of the Batman mythos, such as making Bruce Wayne homeless and making Alfred an African-American mechanic called Big Al. Did James Cameron write this?
I'm never gonna fucking call you Carl.
David Fincher, Robert Rodriguez and Joss Whedon all pitched possible Batman stories to the studio over the years, but they were all rejected, and the prospects of a new Batman film seemed less and less likely. However, in 2003, a little-known director you might have heard of called Christopher Nolan had an office at Warner Brothers and caught wind of the studio's plans to reboot Batman. He pitched his story to Warner's, who was so impressed they immediately asked him to direct.
So what do you think?
However, despite being a fan of the character, Nolan admitted to not being well versed in the lore of the comics and brought on David Goyer, best known for writing the Blade movies, to co-write the script with him. Nolan stated from the get-go that his version of Batman would abandon the gothic and theatrical nature of the Burton and Schumacher films, instead opting for a more grounded take on the iconic superhero inspired by the comic storylines such as The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Year One and The Man Who Falls. The world of Batman is that of grounded reality. The world of the film will be a recognisable, contemporary reality against which an extraordinary heroic figure arises. You know, a film completely grounded in reality, where a perfectly normal human being is able to somehow bend guns with his bare hands, fly through the air dressed like a bat and land on a van completely unscathed, and use Bluetooth inside his eyeballs to see every nook and cranny into every single corner of an entire building!
How can you say that?
Nolan also felt that the previous Batman movies had been more concerned with style rather than dramatic weight, and he was inspired by Richard Donner's Superman films to focus more on the character's personal growth and to hire a cast of recognisable actors for the supporting cast to give the film a more epic and credible feel. While casting the titular superhero, a long list of actors auditioned for the role, including Hugh Dancy, Bill Crudup, Henry Cavill, David Duchovny, Owen Bailey, Jake Gyllenhaal, Keanu Reeves, Joshua Jackson, Heath Ledger, Josh Hartnett and David Boreanaz, who would have actually been perfect by the way, but eventually settled on Christian Bale. Cillian Murphy also tried out for Batman, and though he didn't get it, Nolan was so impressed with his acting that he instead cast him as the Scarecrow.
Impressive.
However, Bale's casting did present a slight problem. The actor had just lost £62 for his role in The Machinist, putting into question whether he would be able to get in shape for the part in time. However, in just 2 months he gained over £100. But this backfired as it caused him to actually be overweight, and he quickly had to lose another £30 again before filming.
Blah, blah, blah.
For the role of Alfred, Anthony Hopkins was Nolan's first choice, but he declined before the part was offered to national legend Michael Caine. Caine was actually really excited about taking on the part, having been really impressed with the script, and at 70 years old he feared that he was getting too old to continue a successful career. He later stated that the movie and his collaboration with Nolan practically revitalized his career in mainstream cinema. Furthermore, he viewed Alfred's relationship with Bruce as that of military comradeship, and based his voice on a colonel he knew during his time in the army.
I think you're trying to help.
For the part of Bruce's childhood friend Rachel, Sarah Michelle Gellar was the first choice before it was eventually given to Katie Holmes. Although if they gave it to Sarah Michelle Gellar and David Boreanaz as the two leads, everyone would have just called it Buffy the movie, so never mind.
Isn't that illegal?
Also, funnily enough, Gary Oldman was originally suggested by the producers for Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul, but Nolan insisted on casting him as Commissioner Gordon in order to contrast with the villainous roles he was always used to playing at the time.
As you wish.
Filming began in March 2004, and unlike many other big budget blockbusters of the time, Nolan refused to use a second unit on set in order to keep his vision consistent, frequently operating the camera himself and insisting on using as little CGI as possible. Furthermore, despite his desire for a dark tone, Nolan insisted on not filming any gore or bloody violence, as he wanted the movie to be more mature, but still appeal to a wide range of viewers.
Why?
Batman Begins was released on June the 15th, 2005, and despite fears that the movie would bomb due to the franchise's bad reputation, it was a smash hit, grossing $371 million worldwide, making it at the time the second most profitable Batman film after the original Tim Burton movie. Critical reception was universally positive, praising the film's dark tone, musical score, cinematography, action scenes, and Bale's performance, as well as the deeper psychological focus on the character compared to previous movies. Roger Ebert, who had disliked every Batman film before this, gave it a full 4 stars, and both Michael Keaton and Tim Burton heaped praise upon the picture, with Burton stating, "When I did Batman 20 years ago in 1988 or something, it was a different time in comic book movies. You couldn't go into that dark side of comics yet. The last couple of years that has become acceptable, and Nolan certainly got more to the root of what the Batman comics are about."
Thank you very much.
The movie's success not only catapulted both Bale and Nolan's careers into the stratosphere, but it's often regarded as the film that popularised the concept of reboots, and the Hollywood trope of reviving unsuccessful franchise with a more grounded and serious tone, proving that the film's impact is still felt to this day. Honestly, after Batman and Robin, I don't think anyone expected this franchise to ever be good again, but fuck me, here we are! Unlike Batman 89, we do get to see Bruce become Batman as we time jump back and forth between past and present. Yeah, time jumps in a Nolan film, I was shocked too. And it turns out Batman exists because he continuously fell down a hole and was attacked by bats, to the point he even later uses bats as his on-call pets to attack the bad guys. And this is the one that's more grounded in reality.
It's a start.
But it's odd because then he grows up and is still afraid of bats. I mean, I'm just saying, this kid saw his parents get shot and then 14 years go by without ever encountering another bat. What, and he still got that phobia? You would have thought the trauma of losing your parents would have kind of taken over, that's all I'm saying. And I don't care what anyone says, he flies. Look at this. Man flies. No gliding, he literally flies vertically. Man is from Krypton.
Can he really fly?
I mean, here he is clearly gliding because he's latched onto something. So yeah, he can glide upwards to the ceiling, but how could he do that earlier? What did he latch onto? A fucking cloud? Stop fucking flying!
I'm Batman.
Christian Bale is an amazing choice for this part. I mean, he's already an incredible fighter before he even meets Ra's al Ghul.
You're not the devil. You're practice.
But both Bruce Wayne and Batman are really solid performances. As Bruce, he's incredibly charismatic and he does leave an impression on you. There's a scene where Ra's al Ghul shows up, played by Liam Neeson, and threatens everyone, so Bruce pretends to be drunk and kicks them all out to protect them, risking his own reputation. I mean, there's not much acting needed there, is there, Christian?
I want you off the fucking set, you prick. No, don't just be sorry. Think for one fucking second. The fuck are you doing?
There's another scene where he goes to a party, gets drunk, has hot young women with him, shows off, buys the hotel and goes to leave, but bumps into Rachel, who makes him realise that this is all just a facade and he's hiding who he truly is and he isn't being true to himself. It's a really nice message and a really wholesome scene. You can sense his struggle and grief after his parents' death, and he doesn't even have any dialogue. He's obsessed with getting justice, to the point the killer gets shot and Bruce literally insists on standing and watching him die. I mean, it's yet another cliche of the bad guy dying without the hero being a killer, but still, there's so much character development in the first 35 minutes alone, as Bruce is desperate for justice and to avenge his parents' death, but then learns that it's not the thing to do. But because of the fast editing and time jumps, it's not even that rushed. The pacing is perfect. It's brilliant storytelling and amazing dialogue. Although,
I will go back to Gotham and I will fight men like this, but I will not become an executioner.
well, are you telling me these cops didn't just get crushed to death? It's not even like he had to crush the car. He went out of his way to do it, the psychopath.
It's a miracle no one was killed.
They bloody were, Alf.
I won't kill you. But I don't have to save you.
That's pretty much the same thing. You saved him earlier, but you could have just let him go then. If you're on a train that you know you're going to crash and you leave him on it, that's still practically murder. Don't be going all jigsaw on us now.
What is that?
But this one, he didn't directly kill him, so he doesn't count, yes. The Batman voice that everyone has made fun of, I don't think is really an issue just yet. He hides the voice well enough that you wouldn't be able to tell it's Christian Bale, and he doesn't really come across too rough, even though he sometimes seems to speak more like the Riddler.
What's this?
Leverage.
For what?
To get things moving.
Who are you?
Someone like you.
At least tell me your name.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Oh, just shut up and answer the question!
Shut up and tell you the answer.
Just tell me the answer! Although his face is a problem. Here he just looks like a grumpy child who just didn't get his own way.
Give me that chocolate bar. Give it.
Although here he's not even doing the Batman voice and Rachel still doesn't recognise him.
I don't have the luxury of friends.
By the end of the film, you can see that Bruce has gone through a journey and has become a completely different person. He's matured and has learned when to fight for what's right and when to walk away. He's learned from his parents' death but knows it's not right to become what he hates, a killer. Now this was explored in the previous films, but not to this extent. Admittedly, yes, it's a huge credit to the screenplay, but it's also a huge achievement in Bale's performance. Liam Neeson is great at Rouse, but I'm pretty sure he could read me a Chinese restaurant menu and I'd be completely invested.
Someone like you is only here by choice.
And then we have the Kung Pao chicken, chicken chow mein, or the chop suey. Although Raz gives Bruce this cryptic message to go and pick a flower and climb a mountain for some reason, and he doesn't even question it, he's just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But how is Bruce holding Liam Neeson's entire body weight with one arm? What gym does he go to? Because I'm signing up. His dialogue is mostly made up by epic speeches, but they are written and delivered flawlessly. The fight in the burning building is a pretty solid metaphor for Bruce's life, as everything is crumbling around him. He's trying to fight his grief and guilt of his parents' death, trying to deal with his love for Rachel, and now trying to balance his life and responsibilities as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Michael Caine is a delight as Alfred, and definitely the second best Alfred. Hey, second place isn't bad. You really see just how much he cares for the family. But it is quite amusing how this all seems completely normal to him. Bruce comes back to Gotham after vanishing to Asia for 7 years, and he's like, hey Alf, I'm gonna dress up like a giant bat and fight crime, and he's like, excellent idea, Mr. Wayne.
Guy dresses up like a bat clearly has issues.
He's just so likable and isn't afraid to give Bruce brutal honesty. He's truly a father figure to him in this version. Their bond and relationship is incredible. Although he has some hilarious moments too, like when he's spotted putting an unconscious woman into his car.
Little the worse for wear, I'm afraid.
Greg, call the police. He's even hilarious in the face of death.
I hope you're not a member of the fire brigade. What is the point of all those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?
The writing is almost always on point. Some exposition is quite forced, as Bruce's dad for some reason suddenly decides to tell his son all about his job and history as if he didn't know any of this before.
Gotham's been good to our family, but the city's been suffering. People less fortunate than us have been enduring very hard times.
I'm also about to die, so here's everything you need to know, invisible audience. But yes, I'd just like to remind everyone that the Waynes only die because Bruce is a little pussy who gets scared during a play. Good job, Brucey!
It was my fault, Alfred.
Yes. Yes, it was.
It was nothing that you did.
Yes, it was. Shut up, Alf. Although his rich billionaire parents exited the theatre into a cheap, dodgy alleyway, so maybe it's their fault, I don't know. Just surprised Americans in practically New York don't have a gun on them. Completely unrealistic. The time jumps are handled really well. They're expertly written and tied together seamlessly. The training montage is amazing, the dialogue is great, the editing perfect, the subtle music building up the tension, the rotating camera work. It's an incredible sequence, and Nolan really shines here. Katie Holmes as Rachel is fucking adorable and does give a pretty wholesome performance. But why the hell does Christian Bale look like the teenager in every 90s movie ever?
Your father would be ashamed of you.
Well, fuck you too, bitch! That man killed his parents! Originally, her boss in the courthouse, played by Larry Holden, was actually supposed to be Harvey Dent, but the director changed it as he thought there were already too many recognisable characters. We'll save that for Marvel.
You don't mean that.
But after over 2 hours of their romance, Rachel suddenly decides she can't be with him. For the love of God, why do superhero movies keep doing this? Just get together and smooch already!
Oh, it's too late.
Falcone is played by Tom Wilkinson, and he is a pretty imposing villain with some pretty sweet dialogue.
You're Bruce Wayne, the Prince of Gotham. You'd have to go 1,000 miles to meet someone who didn't know your name. So don't come down here with your anger, trying to prove something to yourself. This is a world you never understand, and you always fear what you don't understand.
Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is amazing. He adds so much charisma and charm to the role. He takes his glasses off quite a lot, and that is only because Christopher Nolan was so fascinated by Murphy's bright blue eyes, he kept trying to think of any excuse to show them off. Whenever he shows off the Scarecrow stuff, it is so creepy, and Murphy treats it all incredibly casually. He gives off Jeffrey Dahmer vibes, which actually kind of works for the role as a villain leading a double criminal lifestyle. He's so calm and normal when discussing everything, despite the audience knowing the truth. Although there is quite literally no reason for him to show Rachel where they make all of the serum instead of just gassing her. No reason. Villains are dumb.
Who the hell authorized this?
The visuals are amazing, but Scarecrow is used incredibly sparingly, which makes you truly appreciate him more and more whenever he is on the screen. You'd think the Batsuit would be fireproof though. It's everything else proof. It really is cool to see all of the gadgets in the Batsuit slowly coming together. It takes a while for Batman to actually begin, but it's built up so well, it's so intense that you're really on the edge of your seat and you cannot fucking wait. Although I'm not sure if it's supposed to be funny, but Batman trying to evade the police and botching the escape is hilarious. His first appearance is fucking terrifying. It really captures the same vibe as the Burton version, but in a more realistic atmosphere. It's like a damn slasher film! But even then they make you wait. The editing is so rapid that you only get sparse glimpse of Batman, so you still have to wait for the big reveal. Lucius Fox is played by Morgan Freeman, and let's face it, Morgan Freeman is fun in anything. Except Dreamcatcher.
What about the shit weasels?
But they have great chemistry and banter together, as he clearly knows Bruce is up to something, but he doesn't know what just yet.
Well, what is it today? More spelunking?
No. Today it's base jumping.
Base jumping.
But why, whenever Bruce is in disguise, does he look like he's about to challenge Papa Doc to a rap battle? And isn't it a bit risky that all you need to do to get into the Batcave is to hit 3 particular piano keys? Sure, it's in a specific order, but someone could easily walk in, try it out, and boom, they're in! But say what you want about Christopher Nolan, the man knows how to give us unbelievable shots we'll never forget. It's amazing to see Batman being chased down as this big vigilante on such a massive scale. It's the first time Batman has really been a true action movie. I do miss the stealthy Batmobile, but this goddamn tank works with what they're going for. But apparently it has an invisibility cloak. I mean, I know it's black and it's dark, but what, none of their lights or sirens on their cars show that massive tank a little bit? Seeing the entire city under attack as Batman rushes around to save them all is such a great sight to see, and the fact that there's no CGI makes it even better. But I guess only some people are affected by Scarecrow's toxin? Maybe Gordon and Bruce are related to Eminem and just don't breathe. The final fight between Batman and Ra's on the train is amazing. Amusingly, Neeson had to hunch over during any wide shots because he's actually taller than Christian Bale and they can't make the hero look tiny now.
You'd ever learn to mind your surroundings?
All you did was roll him over. Literally had nothing to do with the surroundings. The movie is incredible. It's a great reboot and a brilliant origin story of one of the coolest superheroes in history. Unforgettable action, a great lead, great villains. Yeah, some things don't really add up, but it's an all-around phenomenal storytelling piece from start to finish. I've recorded like 12 videos back to back. My voice is going to be 1:15.